Have you read any good books recently? Business books?
Have I read any good?
I'm looking at Home Depot over there.
Oh yeah, Home Depot. Yeah. I will recommend a video series. It's not as good as some books, but it's actually one of the best business things I've seen as an actual video thing. It is American Playboy. There's nudity.
Oh, is that the one on Amazon Prime?
Yes.
I love that. I saw it a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
incredible.
Yeah. So it's like from 3 years ago or whatever. And and I will,
I'm pretty sure they're going public.
Yes. So Playboy is through a SPAC. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw this a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I actually thought it was surprisingly well done.
It was cool. Like when they were going back to when they opened up their clubs and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so the company doesn't have a lot to do with what you're going to see in that story, because that story is really up to their high point and stuff, which was about the time where they lost the casinos and things like that. So but it's really, and they rushed through the end, which I'm glad, so just so people know, like, it's not like you're going to see a lot of what was it, The Girl Next Door? Was that reality series? Yeah. So it's not, you are not going to see a lot of his last years and stuff. It gets pretty quickly into, he founds Playboy, the magazine, up to like maybe 1990 or so. So it's really like, the 50s to about not that much beyond 90. And then it, quickly does the rest of it. So it's good about all of those sorts of things, the magazine, the clubs, casinos, all that kind of thing. And it does his personal.
I've seen the Playboy mansion in Chicago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's actually for sale. I think it's been for sale for a while.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But anyway, these are usually awful. I would say. Don't you find that like any business thing that's like a TV or whatever thing is usually terrible?
I love vintage stuff too.
Yeah.
And then, like, they really set the mood, like it's like, I feel like it's almost just like smoky and he's just
very mad
drinking a coffee and smoking cigarettes all day.
If you like that stuff.
Hacking darts.
And the furniture and stuff that he was into. But it honestly, I mean, like, you have to, it's not a book, so you have to really pay attention to what they're saying and stuff to figure it out. But you're like, oh wow, like, so while you're listening to it and stuff, you're like, okay, so at this point, like I said with the casinos, at this point, like, all the company's profits are coming from the casinos. They must be losing money on like the magazine and all this other stuff, but they're letting it still go that way. So I thought it was really good.
It's interesting, and this is just totally my opinion. So obviously, like, Playboy for the time was incredibly edgy.
Sure.
And then, like, it's just like a lot of this stuff is so cyclical, because I feel like then we went through this like more political correctness type thing. And now I feel like good media, or maybe it is because of our president, right? People do value. I was gonna say authenticity. I'm not saying Trump's always authentic, but I'm just saying, like, more like real. You know what I'm saying? More edgy, more real, more. Maybe he's the wrong example, but you look at like a Barstool Sports, or just more. It's almost like they're trying to connect more with the consumer,
right?
But it went from like Hefner being very criticized for being this edgier. There's nudity and stuff like that, to very much more straight lace, and now I feel like we're kind of headed back into that content. And maybe it's podcasting and stuff. Like, for example, podcasting is like, it's very real.
Magazines that way, yeah.
But you're connecting with the people.
Right, because you have very specific kind of editorial slant and stuff to it. Yeah, no, I think what you're saying is absolutely true.
Because people listen to the podcast because of you,
Yeah, but what happens with these things, of course, is that from an economic perspective, if you get very big, and if you have advertisers, your incentive is to be very non-controversial, very much so. So like when the country was covered by a lot, and this is, after World War II till before the 1990s or so, a lot of the United States is really getting its news from daily newspapers, of which there are one or two, and in more and more cities it's becoming one paper. Your incentives there are to be very much objective, but also not to give any real editorial slant, not to give any real views that you have and everything, which are very different from something trying to compete on the magazine rack with all those other things and stuff. So I agree with that with like podcasts and things, where there's a wide open sort of thing like that you try to zero in on your particular audience, and also the distribution of it, which is that, even take Barstool Sports or something, this is something that I think people overlook, but the reason why content on the internet can be this way is because actually you're all aiming for a very small slice of the possible potential audience. So if you're trying to get 5 million people, but you can get 2.5 million of those from outside the United States and 2.5 million from inside the United States. Okay. You're aiming for you're aiming for 19 out of 20 households ignoring you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
Whereas if you were a daily newspaper, you're aiming for half of those households better be buying your newspaper, So it's a huge change that way. And it works that way, like for niche content for us or whatever, where we can provide things that are like, whether they're, it's like, it can be extremely niche because, like I said, half of your audience can come from like the rest of the world and stuff. Whereas if we were just trying to do something for a particular town, then you have to be more of a general interest sort of thing, And so I think that's true.
I think the biggest thing is having the following too, because if you have followers that are loyal and like what you put out and stuff like that, and will go with you to different stuff, or if you create an app where you say, hey, we're gonna do more exclusive stuff here, and you sign up, that's like the key to a lot of it.
Yeah. And like that series, you could see that the brand, they end up making so much money from the brand eventually.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I mean, initially the magazine was incredibly successful and stuff. If they've just stuck to that, they would have made a lot of money. That obviously
probably they ran into trouble though. And then the son is now running the company. I think he turned it around. I was reading an article on Forbes a couple of years ago about him.
Oh yeah,
Playboy
on
brand.
him.
Yeah,
yeah.
I forget. Cooper Hefner, I think is his.
Yeah, well, you can see that we have the filing. I read the filing. I mean, I've read part of the filing for Playboy. There, it's a completely different business mix. So it's not really very media based. It is very Asian based. Actually, I also mentioned why I did this. So I had seen that they were going to do a SPAC or whatever.
Yeah,
right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, that's.
Did you binge it all in a day?
I ignored it. Yeah. I binged it all day, but I ignored it when they did that. I didn't think about it and stuff. But then I had noticed what was very odd to me is that before that happened, so not after I had seen that they were going to do a SPAC, but what stood out in my mind was I had seen some guys who were younger than you, quite a bit younger, who had Playboy Bunny on their on their shorts or on something like that. And I was
out and about?
Yes.
Wow.
And I thought this was so odd. I don't mean together or something. I just mean that I saw this 2 or 3 times in a matter of like 2 weeks. Because I just think of the brand as the actual brand as being from about my generation down through yours and stuff to
How old are you?
Modern time, 35.
35.
As just not being much of a brand, even though it did exist in a thing that people were watching Playboy channel or whatever for nudity and things. I did not think of it as having the brand cachet that it did what is it now, about 50 years ago. So in the first like 20 years of his existence or so, even longer than that, it really did, maybe 30, 35 years. It really did when we were talking about the clubs and the casinos and things. You could brand other things that way. Mm-hmm. And it really had something other than just that this is something that's showing nudity.
And I did not. Down. So we can't pull it up.
Okay.
I'll try disconnecting and reconnecting.
But I just didn't. So I noticed that I was like, oh, I wonder if this brand has any relevance at all today in a way that I didn't realize, because I assumed not. Mm-hmm. It's obviously still iconic and stuff that way. I know that it's somewhat the only place that I know the brand has kind of still had any brand value, so has been Asia.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder, like, what are they? Where does a lot of the revenue come from?
What is the? Does it show you now?
Playboy, like enterprises?
I was wondering if they put that on the name yet, or if you have to look it up under the.
This gotta be.
No, that's the old filing. So yeah, you have to Google what it is. It's the SPAC is but you got to look up on the company name, which is something like that's not Mountain or something, but it's something weird, whatever the random name is.
Let's see.
No. There we go. Mountain Crest Acquisition. So Mountain Crest, if you look that up.
MCAC.
Yeah. But they also bought some stuff that would actually be bought more by women and stuff like that. So let's see where it is. It's in the
prospectus.
Yeah, no, that's the old perspective. So go up to that one. It's either the first or second one. It might be the second one down, actually. They might have. So we'll try this. Yeah, this is too short. Go to the second one. So this is the DEFA 14A for what date are we looking at? 2020-10-01. So October 01, is this the one that has it or not? Oh, no, this is just the earnings call.
Well, let's go back.
All right. So maybe you had to go. Oh, maybe it's in the 8K.
Maybe it's this one.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
So here we go.
Playboy Enterprise.
Yeah. So if you go, you could just look at the presentation probably. So here's the full one. So if we, what is that? That's the exhibit 2 of the one filed on the 1st. But it's what is the filing? It was still October 1st. So it's still the October 1st one.
So click that.
The very first one, yeah. So, and then if we look at let's try 99.1 maybe. What are those? Okay.
Playboy to become a public company.
All right, let's try 99.2. Exhibit 99.2.
There you
yes. Go. So 99.2 has the investor presentation. So maybe that's where you want to start if you want to look at this. And then if you go down, we can see.
Seems like fun to do research on.
Yeah. So if you go down, but like, this is what I mean. So when we talk about the decline of the brand and stuff, we've looked at things that are like strip clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Playboy isn't involved in the, I mean, like the brand could have value in other things. It's not just that, magazines went down and cable went down because of the internet, like the magazine was ruined by cable coming on. And then they're run by like, private equity people, right? So they're over from private equity. Yeah. So there you go. So there's an example, which is true. 97% global unaided brand awareness. So in other words, people know what Playboy is. The one that was weird is the 60-40. Yeah. But I think that's because they have this lingerie business. But so they're the men's apparel brand in China. That's where I thought that their brand had some value that way.
Are we going to buy a SPAC?
I don't think we'll be buying this one given the price and stuff that you'll see in a second. But they're guiding for $100 million of adjusted EBITDA 5 years from now. But if we go down and look at what they have now, let's see what their goal is. They're doubling it. Wait, no.
I'm curious, what's 2018 look like? It's like, are they cherry picking the numbers? So for people listening, it's just like we're looking at the revenue and they only show from 2019 actual to what they're estimating for 2020. And 2019 was 78.2 million, and they're estimating, what's that, 68% compounded growth to 131 million. It's like, why are you only giving us 1 year?
Yeah, and they mentioned by executing organic and inorganic strategies, meaning they bought things too. So you got their legacy, and that's true. Yeah.
Is that Rihanna?
I doubt it. But here we go. And then they explain things. And so I assume they sell condoms and some things like that because it says sexual wellness, which I think that's what it means.
It says intimacy.
Intimacy. I mean, there might be like lube and things like that. I don't remember what other things they sell. And then we have, fashion accessories, which, like I said, I think is meaningful in Asia. Yeah. But then the other stuff, the digital gaming, hospitality, spirits, fragrance, skincare, that's potential for those things. But, I don't think they have a lot of it now. But they tell us exactly what it is. They sell, I'm right, condoms, lubricants, things like that.
CBD based.
Yes, I saw that.
They're going with this craze
stuff.
So they got a couple crazes going on.
I don't even know what that means either, because how is CBD beauty and grooming?
It's transmitted through the blood. It goes through your skin into your bloodstream, and
it makes you beautiful.
No idea. I don't know.
I mean, I don't doubt that it is wellness or something.
Look at this projected market size, 2024. Like, this is very promotional.
Well, that's probably true, but I don't think they're going to suddenly start outselling Trojan. You know what I mean? What is it? Durex and Trojan are like 1 and 2 all around the world or whatever.
What are they trying to? What's the valuation they're gonna do this at?
Yeah, it's not low. So, that's the one I like. If we go up here, this is even better. Gaming and lifestyle, 1.4 trillion. Style and apparel, 1.9 trillion.
Yeah. They give their earning,
their sales
estimate, but yeah.
Okay, so then there's their 2020 estimate. But as you'll see, what it's really all in is style and apparel, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, 2.7 billion.
Yeah. Wow. So their revenues are 53% style and apparel, and then 41%, that's retail sales, so they're just getting like royalties on it. So like I said, I think if you look here, what's interesting is this is why I noticed it in the US and it stood out to me. I think that they actually have very high retail sales with a tiny royalty on Asia, and that's how they've made all this money, right? So like, I mean, for instance, formal suits. Like they're mentioning that as a major thing. I don't know.
That's not a thing
in
here.
The U.S.
No,
that
absolutely not.
A Playboy on your suit is not a thing that's been around. I mean, I haven't not seen, honestly, Playboy brand out, as like a branded thing in decades in the U.S. in a major way. Whereas this makes sense to me, like the fact that these things existed that they're talking about in the sexual wellness section. This is like stuff that's North America, but this stuff, style and apparel, is not. That must be Asia stuff. You can also tell, like I said, because their adjusted revenues are only a tiny fraction of the consumer retail sales. So they're actually selling the sexual wellness stuff, whereas they're just getting royalties on the style and apparel. But if we look, we can see that, let's see where they're doing their pricing. Let's see. Okay, hold on. So licensing model.
To own and operate. Why would they want to do that?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, they're making $2.5 billion just licensing it, you know.
Well, yeah, but their license rates are low. I mean, their royalties they're getting are low. So, leading men's apparel brand in China, huge growth opportunity in women's and adjacent. Yeah. So, 3,000 retail points of sale. So obviously, it's very different in Asia from the United States, in China from the
and sometimes
US.
that happens too. Like
Sure.
you don't, you know. I don't know. Talking about regional stuff.
That's true. So that's their licensing business.
Projecting their cash flows out into 2027. Wow.
Yeah, they say assumes no renewals. Historical renewal is more than 95%. So I assume if they say assumes no renewals, that just means that nothing's coming off during that period. Yeah. So they're the 40th largest licensing company there. So obviously that's got to be Asia stuff, because if there was much license in the US, we would see it, just because your royalties are so low versus, I mean, like if you go up, we could just see what they're next to, just to get an idea. Hershey, 20th Century Fox, Weight Watchers, NFL, NBA, you know, all those sorts of things. 2020, 17th largest, right there with the NFL and NBA. So obviously not in the US is that like that. It's got to be worldwide that they're bigger. Let's see. If you go down further, they're going to get there's their acquisition strategy. I know. Yeah, this is the one isn't this the one that's the lingerie and other stuff. So that's why I think they have a lot more women customers that they mentioned. And then the financial overview here, maybe this will help. Okay. So the EBITDA and the revenue, they're both adjusted.
Yeah, what are they adjusted for?
Yeah, do not include. Oh, you have to see.
Do not include Yandy. Yandy was acquired by Playboy in December 2019.
Yeah. So $40 million in EBITDA is their projection for 2021. Their actual, what was their last actual one? Are they done with 2019 here?
Yeah, 11.7.
Okay. Yeah. So they got 12 million in EBITDA, and the company is. Let's go down and see if they tell us on this one. They're expecting in 5 years, they said, to get it to 100 million. Yeah. So there we go. Well, I don't know about that, but okay. Organic growth, $100 million of adjusted EBITDA target by 2025. Again, they're saying that it's not even that cheap, if I remember right, even based on that. If we go down,
yeah, like where's the valuation here?
Yeah, I think we could get that from an article. Let's see. Let's see. You could at least
adding back here. What are they doing? Loss on. Interesting.
Yeah, some of the. Okay, we have the balance sheet. So that could help us there. Let's see. Okay.
Here, let me look really quick and to see if we can find. Let's see. Oh, valued at $415 million.
Okay.
Well, so if they're projecting 100 million in sales in 5 years.
No, they're expecting 100 million in EBITDA in 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So they're expecting 4 times their EBITDA 5 years forward, but they're expecting about 10. This is about 10 times their EBITDA of right now.
Excuse me.
Yeah. But I mean, if we look, so let's look at where their revenue and stuff is coming from right now. It didn't seem very cheap to me, considering like what's the strong brand here and stuff. I don't know, because maybe it's very strong in China,
overseas,
right? But could it ever be created to do other sorts of things in the U.S. and stuff that would be more successful? I mean, what the brand looks like right now is it's collecting royalties on stuff on apparel in China, and it has a direct and it has a sexual wellness business. So I think what you've got, let's put CBD aside, maybe that's what it is, but you've got condoms, lube, lingerie, and like royalties on stuff in China. With royalties on stuff in China being like 25 times bigger or whatever, but because your royalty is like 5% or whatever, it's basically the same as your profit contribution for the two of them. And they have other businesses, but that's basically it. So I don't know. As you can see, gaming licensing deals and all that stuff, maybe they're trying to do the same sort of things that they did before.
Yeah, right.
So I just wonder what the brand is like and stuff. But for all I know, one day there'll be a Playboy casino in that offshore in China or whatever. Who knows? But I just wondered if the brand had any relevance to people today and in different parts of the world and everything. Because I noticed that some people wearing the Playboy thing, I was like, wow, that's
I've never seen
Playboy
that.
Bunny. Yeah.
Did you like the show? You said you did like it.
Yeah,
right?
no, I really liked the show. I thought that the show.
So you know what's crazy? Looking at this just shows how strong actually the Kylie Jenner's like lipstick line or whatever that they sold to, is it Cody? Caddy?
Yeah.
Cody. What is
COTY?
Yeah. I forget how much they sold it for, but I'm pretty sure they were doing more. Like they were doing a lot in revenue and EBITDA.
Oh yeah, some of the beauty.
But she was doing it all from social media.
Well,
that was her.
Yeah, if you look, that's how they plan to grow it. I think is what they said. Is that's part of their focus now? Is that their beauty and grooming thing? As they said, is that a big thing? Is that they plan to do it more direct through social media and things like that.
Again, though, getting back to like the followers and stuff. I mean, look at her. I'm reading Unfiltered, which is a book about Instagram, and they're talking about how it changed the way that a lot of companies market, and they used her as an example, how when they started it, and she, I guess like Kris Jenner said, when Kylie was talking about starting a new lipstick line or whatever, Kris Jenner was like, well, if you're going to buy a bunch of product, it better be 3 colors that you're okay to wear for the rest of your life in case they don't sell, so it's not always, I think, being facetious, whatever. And then they launched, and she would post a video basically saying, hey guys, like it's the Kylie collection, whatever. It's they're all in stock. And then like within seconds, it would just be gone because, I mean, they have so much of a brand loyalty, and people just buy whatever they push. And then, she ended up selling it. But I mean, I think they had like a 10-person team, and the marketing was just her posting videos on Instagram, basically saying that it's back in stock. I mean, it's insane. Crazy. So that's funny that Playboy is coming public though by a SPAC.
Yep, they
so the Cooper Hefner I follow, they must have sold then.
Okay.
Because I know
they sold to private equity, yeah.
Yeah,
I followed this company when it was a public company before, which I believe is it, what's her name, Christy Hefner? Or the daughter?
Chris Hefner. Yeah, she was running. Yeah.
Because I remember then it had some assets that were kind of pretty strong versus the market cap of the business and stuff. So I did look at it then, but it was really in decline, obviously, in those things and stuff. And she had to really focus it down by, like, they mentioned a little bit in the serious thing is that, like, once they had lost the casinos and things, it was like you got to really refocus on being a media business and stuff, and basically that's how you got to try to make money instead of. It seemed like they were losing a lot of money for years when they had success with one thing, they just allow it to fund the other stuff,
When they were talking about Instagram and people would ask them, how are you going to make money? And they would say, well, it's the same way. It's just like magazines. Right. Instead of ads being on, a magazine, they'll be on your phone. And that's what it is now, really. Unless you're Geoff Gannon and don't have a cell phone.
That's true, yeah. Cool. I definitely never had Instagram.
That is very true. Okay, so that's a good recommendation. Like I said, I watched that a couple years ago, and I really liked it.
So where else